Welcome to Immigration Update on the Air with Attorney Golan of Papkin, Shamir, and Golan Law Offices. And for the information of our general audience, we've had Attorney Golan for so many years here on Immigration Update on the Air. Now, his telephone number, just in case you have a pen and paper ready, it's 213-383-3222. Now, we've been talking a lot about Daca. People hear about deferred action for childhood arrivals. What does it really mean? How many people are in this particular situation, and how many undocumented are really in the United States? More clarification and information from Attorney Golan. Thank you so much for joining us today, Attorney Golan.
I'm always happy to be with you and your listeners.
Thank you so much. So this is a very controversial issue this past few days, and pretty soon there will be vote again on whether this will have an approval, and there have been so many different proposals. Kindly set the table for us, Attorney Golan. What is Daca, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals? What does it mean if it's approved and if it's not approved?
Well, originally this program was announced in 2012 by President Obama. It was not passed as a law of Congress. It was not even passed as officially enacted regulations. It was only passed like sort of a guideline by the Department of Homeland Security to the Immigration Service. What this said at that time was that people who came to the United States as children more than 5 years earlier. Now, again, this program was announced in 2012, and they said people who were brought to the United States as children before 2007 and stayed in the United States illegally, whether they entered the United States with a visa or no visa, whether they entered the United States legally or were smuggled across the border, doesn't matter. If they came to the U.S. as children under age 16 before 2007, could apply for a special permit to stay in the U.S. and work in the U.S. for a period of 2 years, with promised extension for another 2 years, and maybe another 2 years. So the permit was, if you came here before 2007 under age 16, you were not considered guilty of entering illegally because you were a child. So no criminal guilt could be attached to you. And since the assumption is or was that you grew up in the United States, went to school and finished high school or equivalent of high school in the United States, and did not have any kind of criminal record, we will permit you to keep staying, living, and working in the United States. Actually, the application for Daca was an application for employment authorization, an application for a permit to stay and work in the United States for a period of 2 years. This was, again, I repeat, for people who were brought to the United States as children under age 16 before 2007. And they already finished or were in the process of finishing high school. An additional condition was that those people were not over age 31, at the time of this program in 2012, which means you must have come to the United States under age 16, but you must have not aged out in 2012 to be over 31.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the conditions of the original Daca program. At that time, the government estimated that approximately 1.5 million people would apply for this program. In reality, only about 700,000 people applied at that time. Over the years since then, some additional people applied because they grew up from being really minor children to being teenager or young adults. So the total number of people holding the benefits of Daca reached maybe 800,000 people. So we have now in the United States approximately 800,000 people, most of them relatively young, who have had permits to stay and work in the United States, who supposedly came to the U.S. as children under age 16, who have no criminal records, and who are Americans in everything except for the legal paperwork. Those are the original Daca beneficiaries. At the present time, President Trump became all of a sudden very generous and says, I will grant Daca benefits not to 800,000 people, but to 1,800,000 people, more than double the number who already hold the cards. How does he reach this bigger number? Maybe by eliminating the age limit of 31. So he will recognize as Daca beneficiaries anybody who was brought to the United States as a child, even if they were over 31 at the time of when the program became effective in 2012. Maybe he even President Trump would also eliminate the requirement of high school graduation, because many of those kids never graduated from high school, they went to work.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how the president is talking about 1,008,000 Daca beneficiaries, when the actual holders of Daca cards is only approximately 800,000. Mm-hmm. Any questions?